Hello there. Dr. Bill Crawford here, psychologist, speaker, author of 7 books, host of 2 PBS specials. Here again to bring you another tip on how to help you create the life you want. Specifically, how to use my life from the top of the mind philosophy to bring more clarity, confidence, creativity to everything you do. Today, I want to look at the concept of insults and being insulted. There's a quote that I'm sending out to those 6,000 folks on my quote list. And by the way, if you would like to receive one of my favorite quotes each week for free, along with 2 or 3 paragraphs about how to apply that quote to our life and a short video, all you got to do is go to my website, billcrawfordphd.com, hit the subscribe button, put your name, email address in, and each week I will send you one of these. So this quote is one of mine that I've kind of adapted from a concept I found on Pinterest. It says, "In order to feel insulted, we must believe that another person's opinion of us is more valuable than our own." Why would we do that? Question mark, question mark, question mark. So that question, why would we do that, I think has 2 meanings. Number one, why do we do that? Why would we give somebody else's opinion of us so much weight that it overshadows our own? Don't we know us better than anyone? If so, I think what we've got to do is own that expertise. One of the things that I try to do when someone accuses me of something that I know is outside of my character, I like to come back with, really, is that congruent with who you know me to be? Or does that fit with who you know me to be? Gives them the opportunity to think about that. Now, if they say yes, I would say, wow, what have you seen me do that's given you the impression that I'm that kind of person? And if they can't think of anything, sometimes they change their mind. If they say, well, the other day you did this and that, you can go, oh, so okay, well, that makes sense. Would you like to know what I was really thinking? See, now you're not really reacting to the insult with indignation or another insult. That's often what we do. When we feel insulted, we have a tendency to strike back. And that comes from a long past of being insulted. I mean, frankly, haven't we been hearing negative things about ourselves for a long time? I mean, as kids, right? Our parents say, listen, you were terrible, you never did that, or you were supposed to do that, and you... Now, that didn't mean that they're terrible parents or they meant to insult us, but that's how we took it. See, there's these 3 parts of the brain. Those of you who follow my life from the top of the mind philosophy know we got these 3 parts of the brain. Lower part of the brain is called the brainstem. Middle part of the brain, the part of the brain that kind of scans the environment and interprets things initially as they come in, is called the limbic system. Upper 80% of the brain is called the neocortex, what I call the top of the mind. This middle brain, this limbic system, has a tendency to interpret things based on old experiences. Matter of fact, a lot of the ways we find ourselves interpreting life has to do with old neural pathways that have been created. A neural pathway in the brain is kind of like a pathway through a field of grain. If you go down it once, it's going to be hard to find that path again. But if you go down that same path again and again and again and again, that path is going to become wide, well-worn, easy to find, easy to go down. That's what's happened with negative comments. Each time we heard a negative comment growing up, the limbic system went, whoa, that's dangerous. Someone who is supposed to love us, who feeds us, who holds all the power, is upset with us, sees something bad about us. We ought to be afraid of that. And it throws that information down into the brainstem. When that happens over and over and over, we learn to interpret other people's negative comments toward us as if we were kids, as if they were being told to us by somebody really, really important. Nowadays, chances are we're not being insulted by someone who's really, really important, or even if we are someone saying negative things to us by someone who's important, there's some misunderstanding there. It's not who we really are. So what we've got to do is be very clear, who am I? What are the qualities and characteristics I'm bringing to life? I call this our highest purpose because it comes from the highest part of the brain, the neocortex, this upper 80% of the brain, and it's got to become the most important thing we do, our highest purpose, in order to really pull this off. Because we've got to create some new neural pathways that go from our limbic system up into our neocortex. One about our own self-worth, so when people say something negative to us, which, by the way, is different than feeling insulted. When someone says something negative, that's them saying something negative. When we feel insulted, that's our interpretation of that. That's us taking it in and making it something about us in a way that is dangerous or is frightening. Understandable. We've been doing it for a long time. It's just not serving us. It's not something we would recommend to someone we love. So what I encourage you to do is ask yourself the question, do you want to continue interpreting other people's negative comments towards you in this way that throws you into the brainstem where you feel insulted? If the answer is no, then what we've got to do is recognize that sometimes when someone is trying to insult us, they're coming from the lower 20% of the brain. There is a quote I use sometimes in my seminars that says, how do you keep people from jerking your chain? You don't give your chain to jerks. And what that means is we don't give other people's opinion of us when they're coming from that knee-jerk part of the brain. We're in that lower part of the brain where they're just wanting to lash out. We don't give them our chain. We don't give that comment value and validity. We go, whoop, that's who they're upset. They're coming from that lower brain. And either that's not who they normally are, or if that is who they normally are, is that a person I really want to give a lot of credibility to in my life? These are questions and awarenesses and perspectives that come from the upper 80% of the brain. This is what we would recommend to those we love. So if you would like to have more influence over how you find yourself reacting to negative comments, I would encourage you to look at this whole process from what part of the brain am I coming from, what part of the brain are they coming from, and how do I want to retrain this limbic system in order to interpret another person's negative comment as either valuable information that maybe I want to make some changes, or they're coming from that lower 20% of the brain. By the way, this is what I love to do. I love to go into organizations and work with individuals and help them rewire the brain, help them begin to get really clear about how they want to interpret life so that you are making this decision and it's not being made for you by these old neural pathways, these old habitual ways of seeing life. If you want me to do that with your organization, with you, all you got to do is go to the website, BillCrawfordPhD.com, hit the contact button, let me know what you're interested in. Love to talk with you about that. In the meantime, here is to you, bringing more clarity, confidence, creativity to everything you do, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.